I think that AI is going to absolutely destroy the legal field. And honestly, I'm here for it because lawyers are predatory. All right, travel nerds, welcome. We have a super quick and short episode today. Unfortunately, Connor Ann is out sick again. She's been sick a lot, so if you need to send her flowers, chocolates, or send me a Venmo, I'll make sure the money gets to her. Wink, wink. But we have one quick question from the audience. With me today, we have the famous, the infamous, the smart, and a great predictor of all things AI, Jason Skipper, with
Wow,
us.
what a build-up. Thank you, Kenny. Thank you very much.
What a buildup, right? Okay, so we have a write-in from the audience, and I would love to get your take on this. So here it goes. I listened to the last podcast where you and Connor Ann talked about AI and found it fascinating. Here is my question. What industry do you think AI is going to have the biggest impact in terms of taking jobs away from humans?
Mm.
Ooh, very controversial and always in the back of people's minds. Skipper, what do you think?
Yeah, I think we're gonna see the dystopian future begin to take place around what I'll call the support industry. So it's gonna actually cut all through the whole, like every vertical has their support. So whether it's an airlines, whether it's a trucking company, whether it's an education college, whatever, everyone's got their support. And the ability, we've all had those chat box, those automated chat bots, and they're like garbage and you go in a circle and all that. But we have
Mm.
seen sort of that chat bot, if you will, grow in its capabilities and understanding almost exponentially over the last, let's call it 6 months. So I think that's going to catch fire, and now it's going to be useful to any of these support industries or support, I would say, component of what amounts to just about every service industry. So support people.
Interesting. Okay, I have one that's near and dear to my heart that's been kind of like making me a touch afraid. I have a lot of friends, including a very important family member who is a lawyer, and I watch what they do. And they read a lot of documents, which the AI is better at. They write a lot of templated, repeated things, which the AI is good at. And then they're always citing case law, right? So they have this historical context or this data set that they, as lawyers, are trained on. And every time that I see or watch a lawyer work or I hear them talk about their work and the repetitive nature of their work and the amount of just data that they have to crunch and ingest and that they bill for, right? So, like, if you're a lawyer and you work in insurance defense and you get a new file and inside that file is 80 PDFs and emails that you have to read through, it may take you 4 hours that you billed at $200 an hour for to read that entire file, but the AI is getting through that in maybe what, sub 2, 3 minutes. So you're taking tasks that would generate $800 to $1,000 worth of commerce, and you're shrinking it down to the AI reading it with probably better comprehension and more thoroughly than you do as a lawyer in, let's just call it sub 5 minutes if you had to upload and everything and it had to sort through it, even if we pushed it to 10. That's a huge destruction of value. And then the next stage of writing the memo or suggesting what's next, I think AI is going to come for the legal industry, especially when things are really high margin and they're high margin for no reason, right? So why is a lawyer's time worth $500 to $700 per hour? I have no idea because the same lawyer, there's another lawyer somewhere in the United States that has the same legal training, is referencing the same case law, is reading the same tools, and they're charging $200 an hour. Entrepreneurs like us, they see that margin, and like there's a famous Jeff Bezos quote, "Your margin is my opportunity." There is so much margin in legal that I think that there are going to be tons of startups and AI startups that just come for lawyers. And honestly, I don't think that there's anything that lawyers are going to be able to do. I think the companies are going to wise up. I think that AI is going to absolutely destroy the legal field. Now, will it mean that lawyers are gone? Absolutely not, because someone has to still show up on court or in the mediation. There's a lot of person to person, but are you going to need 100 lawyers to run a law firm, or will you need 20? I think that with time, it's absolutely going to destroy the legal field. And honestly, I'm here for it because lawyers are predatory.
I almost want to change my answer, except, I feel like, Kenny, the lawyers may be, you kind of, if you've like listened to the news and stuff, you already
Mm.
hear where like, oh, someone used AI and it cited a non-existing case, and judges are like,
Yeah.
the judges and the lawyers are going to band together to try and bat it down as much as they can. But you're right, man. Long-term economics say there's a consolidation in that field. So and the margin is huge. You're not wrong.
I think consolidation is definitely coming. I've seen some legal bills that we've paid when we were doing fundraising, and people were charging us $600, $700 per hour. And I just found it to be kind of insane because a lot of the work it's not hard work, right? And then one of the craziest thing that made me kind of change my tune on this is that I wrote our MSA in conjunction with Chat GPT. And so this is something that we would have paid thousands of dollars for. I paid $20 for it because I paid $20 a month. Now it took me probably legitimately about 3 to 4 hours to do because it was a lot of back and forth and prompting, and our MSA is long and there are data limits and like how much I can put into it. So I had to break it apart like task by task. But the end result is we have an MSA that we've now sent out hundreds of times, and it gets through without any legal review to other lawyers probably 9 out of 10 times. And the things that people do ask to change are like silly, dumb things that I'm not even sure are coming from like intelligent lawyers. They're coming from, it's like people who are like, let's change the privacy term from 3 years to 2 years. I'm like, oh, okay. So sure, we can
Yeah.
do that. It means nothing to me, right? Like, so I think that there's so much margin. I think people will go after where the money is. And I'm not sure if it's good for my life in general, being married to an attorney, but
Well,
we'll see how it. We'll see how it.
she's a cream of the crop. She'll be one of those 20% that hangs around to make sure the AI is minding its business. But
Yeah.
that's a good point. That like I was thinking at it from like top down, sort of courts and lawyers and laws, and what your situation there is very much bottom up. You needed a service done that you normally would have gone to a lawyer, and now you're like, oh, I can kind of surf my way over here and get it done. So that cannibalization is already happening. So you're right. I mean, that's better. Brush up on the old, I don't know, painting skills. Do they got painting robots? I don't know.
Everyone's going to be digging holes or like laying a roof, or it's going to go back to the farm,
Uh,
to the farmland. But honestly, it's like how much of what we do is totally repetitive, like as white collar workers. I mean, I think that AI will be extremely deflationary. It's going to make teams super powered. Let me ask you about developers. You basically supervise developers. There's all these dev tools now that you can run your code through AI and yada yada.
yeah.
Is
The IDEs are integrated now, and they're using it. It's done. If a developer is not using an integrated AI like a GitHub, or there's like 3 or 4 of them out there already that have serious chops to get you going. You're losing capacity.
when it first came out, I think people didn't want to have people freak. So they're like, AI is going to give you superpowers and AI is it's going to make you more efficient. That's what they just said because they needed time to like automate you out of it. But I don't think, I don't think it's going to be in terms of like the sheer number of jobs. There will be different jobs that arise, but I think that it's going to make the number of jobs needed by actual human beings less. And
How
I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but I don't think I think it's inevitable.
how do we land that in the utopian Star Trek world? Because an abundance of resources, if shared properly, right, then you're on starships exploring the galaxy because everything's printed and free in AI. I feel like at this point, the capitalism sort of neck chokehold we have going is just going to take each one of these AI gains and put it in and create another, Elon or another Bezos.
Yeah, that's one of the like scary things too, because it costs so much money to like train your own model and make your own thing. That it's like the companies that are best suited to win these are like your really big companies with giant amounts of resources and money to throw at it. I think that it's going to be really hard for a startup to come out of nowhere and really disrupt things. I'm not too clued into how the open source world is. I've heard that some of the open source models are pretty good, but it's just, open source is one thing. It has to go from open source to application to users. And that's where I think that like your companies like Microsoft and OpenAI and Google, they're just so well positioned. And they have built-in distribution too, right? You have hundreds of millions or billions of users that you can basically get to test out your product and use it. So it's like the big boys are so set to be the benefactors. And it's going to be really hard for a small company to come and make a dent in this world. Not to say that it can't happen, right? But I think it's going to be really tough.
As it starts up, there'll be opportunities, things, blind spots and stuff. But you're right, the long haul, they definitely have a head start.
All right, well, let's wrap this up here. I know we promised you a quick episode. If you want more of these, or if you want us to answer any more questions, whether it be me, Jason, Connor, all three of us, we
What?
can definitely do a pod together, the three amigos. Send it over our way, hello@travelnerds.co. Have a great day. Later, nerds.